In college, being able to present a well-reasoned and professional-sounding argument is critical. In your college career, professional career, and even day-to-day life, stating your position on a topic or issue and supporting it is absolutely necessary. Consider this. Have you ever gotten into a debate with somebody that became a little bit heated? What happens when someone's trying to convince you to feel how they feel and they dismiss or belittle your opinion? At that point, you immediately stop listening. Instead, you may become defensive or just stop hearing what they say altogether. The person will not be able to convince you at this point. The argument or debate has become completely pointless and absolutely ineffective. Well, the same scenario is true for writing, especially academic writing. This presentation is going to show you how to respectfully and reliably refute arguments. What is an argument? An argument's a civilized discussion in which people express different points of view about a topic. That's it. It's also a well thought out, well-researched piece of writing that offers good reasons to support a particular viewpoint. An argument is an opinion and it has a thesis statement. What makes a strong argument? An issue. In order to have a strong argument, you have to be arguing on a particular issue or controversy in which there is an opposition. A strong argument is when you make a claim about that issue, or a position the writer, you, takes about that issue. Also, you need to support that claim, and you support it in the form of research, factual information, and examples you've gathered to defend your argument. Finally, with a strong argument, you must respectfully acknowledge the opposition and then refute it. Accommodating opposing views. Use the refuting argument to your advantage. Explain why your argument or point is valid rather than just expressing why the opposition's point is wrong. Always respectfully acknowledge the opposition's view. Use phrases like, "Some critics explain, while some may argue, although some concerns have risen." There are various other phrases that you can do. But phrases like these show two things. First, that you as a writer are informed about the issue and other positions people may have about it. Second, that you are confident enough in your stance to bring up valid points the opposition has about the issue. Refute the opposition's point by illustrating why your point is stronger or more logical. When doing this, you must maintain a respectful and courteous tone, use formal language, and always remain professional. Acknowledging opposing viewpoints. Let's have a look at this example. Voluntary community service should be a mandatory part of a college degree program. If this is our argument, we know that there is an opposition group that says that voluntary community service should not be a part of college degree programs. But this is our stance, so now let's respectfully acknowledge the opposition and then refute it. If you were to do that, it might look something like this. The argument that college students are already stressed from studying and that many of them are even working at demanding jobs has merit. However, college students' participation in community service can open up more opportunities for them in the future. The community service projects could revolve around students' specific areas of study. Networking and experience in the field is invaluable. Not to mention, it leads to impressive resumes when graduates begin looking for full-time positions. If we have a look here, you'll notice that we start off respectfully first acknowledging the opposition's viewpoint, and that is the argument that college students are already stressed from studying and that many of them are even working at demanding jobs has merit. There we go, that's our respectful acknowledgement. Then we refute that point, using a contrast word, however. After however, we present our point and why our point is stronger than the opposition's. Using opposing viewpoints to your advantage. Include the opposing viewpoint as a part of your own argument. Let's take a look at this example. Although students are already busy and stressed, community service could help relieve that pressure and stress by providing a hands-on, uplifting experience that helps them to feel good about themselves. In this case, we've used the opposing viewpoint as a part of our argument. This is a good strategy to use whenever you're trying to persuade somebody to feel the way that you feel. Explain why the opposing viewpoint is flawed. Let's look at that. The argument that college students cannot waste time with community service is wrong because community service will give students new viewpoints and experiences that will help them in securing work after they graduate. If you notice, here we give a reason why that argument is flawed. We don't just come out and say that it's wrong. This will require some critical thinking on your part. Think it through and be creative. Also, be respectful. How do we refute respectfully anyway? First, avoid generalizations. Also, you have to be aware of your tone. And finally, watch the language. How do you avoid generalizations? First, before we get into that, let's talk about what generalizations are. Generalizations are words like everyone and no one, all, none. They're exaggerated generalizations that have no place in academic arguments. They're all-encompassing words. Don't allow yourself to resort to these exaggerations because you'll appear unreasonable and wrong. Qualifiers. Qualifiers elevate academic arguments and give them authority. You always want to strive to use qualifiers. Qualifiers are words like most people, many, some people, some, few, seldom, should, can, could, may, possibly. You'll notice with qualifiers, they're not all-encompassing words. Other exaggerated generalizations that you should avoid at all costs are never and always. Be aware of your tone. Whenever you're arguing, you're going to have various tones in your paper. But you want to make sure that your tone is not sarcastic. Let's take a look at an example. Well, obviously, someone with your superior knowledge and vast experience would come to a conclusion like that. If you write something like that in a discussion board post or in an academic paper, even if you say it when you're having a debate with a friend, that sarcastic tone will immediately turn the other person off. And at that point, your argument is obsolete. They're not going to be convinced by anything that you write or anything that you say. Another tone that you want to be aware of is a preachy tone. The facts have spoken for themselves, and they are irrefutable. That is a preachy tone. You don't want to say something like, the facts have spoken for themselves, because indeed they have not spoken for themselves. As a writer, it's your responsibility to include the facts, include the support. Don't take for granted that your audience feels the way that you feel, or that your audience knows all sides of the issue. Also, you want to avoid a condescending tone. Mr. Smith's efforts are appreciated, but... That's very condescending, and try to avoid it whenever you're responding to an argument, writing your own argument, or even debating with somebody. Language. Let's talk about language. Avoid cliches in arguments, especially when it comes to combining them with sarcasm. Some common cliches that come up in arguments are ones like, as plain as the nose on your face. Instead of saying that, you might want to consider, it may be clear when we examine the evidence. Asleep at the wheel. Instead of that, you want to consider, or you may want to use, it appears you might have missed something. The whole ball of wax. Thorough evidence or a complete list of alternatives. Language continued. Consider the negative connotations of the words you choose. So for instance, instead of saying something like crushing the enemy, you want to use defeating the competition. Instead of saying the politician's spin, you might want to say the politician's position. In addition to using impressive academic-sounding language, you'll want to aim for objectivity to keep yourself above the fray. Something formal would be is not angry. Something casual and informal you might say isn't mad. Slang is really informal, and that would be isn't ticked off. You always want to remain formal. That means no contractions, no slangy language, and try to avoid a conversational tone. Well, there you have it. That's how you would respectfully refute an argument.